Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Today, I'm going to talk about Lakshadweep. I'm going to talk about Lakshadweep. I'm going to talk about the administrator of Lakshadweep. And I'm also going to talk about the draft policies that the administrator proposes for Lakshadweep, which has brought about a lot of heartburn among the people of Lakshadweep. So these are the three factors that I'm going to talk about. Let's get right into the show. First, let's understand Lakshadweep. Lakshadweep is situated in the southwest coast of India. Southwestern coast of India. It is a combination of roughly around 36 islands, out of which 10 are inhabited. The rest are not. The population of Lakshadweep is hardly 65 to 70,000 people. That's the population of Lakshadweep. A bulk of this population, that is almost 96% of this population, are Muslims. Lakshadweep boasts of 95% literacy. Most of the people in Lakshadweep are literates. Like I said, I've been to Lakshadweep. It's a beautiful place. Very good people, and there is hardly any crime there. So they're a peace-loving lot. A lot of them are fishermen. And of course, there are people who do other trades too. But a lot of them are fishermen. This is the long and short of what Lakshadweep is. The growth, the population growth of Lakshadweep is not as much as the population growth rate of India. National average is 17%. Lakshadweep is hardly 6%, 6.2% or something. 6% growth rate in Lakshadweep. So Lakshadweep is not growing at the pace of national average. All these information that I'm giving you are important because I'm going to come to all of this later on in my editorial. So that's what it is. Now, there is a new administrator who was also the administrator of Dadra Nagar Haveli. This administrator was brought in to Lakshadweep. His name is Praful Patel or Praful Khoda Patel. Praful Khoda Patel is a very, very powerful and important person in the Bharatiya Janata Party. Not in the Bharatiya Janata Party, but important person as far as the Prime Minister of India is concerned, important person to Mr. Narendra Modi. Why do I say that? I say that because Mr. Praful Khoda Patel was the Home Minister, Minister of State in 2010 in Narendra Modi's cabinet. He was a Minister of State and he was given all the powers of Amit Shah. When he was behind bars, all the powers were given to Mr. Khoda Patel, Mr. Praful Khoda Patel. So he is very powerful. Secondly, he is given Dadra Nagar Haveli, Diu, Daman and Diu and Lakshadweep. So a lot of these territories, he is the administrator. He is the boss. Administrator is like your lieutenant governor. So he is the boss. So he's been given a fairly large role, fairly important role. So what is this entire furore about Praful Patel coming and taking over as administrator of Lakshadweep? The first thing that Praful Patel said and did is that he proposed a draft agreement called the Lakshadweep Development Authority Regulation 2021, which is LDAR 2021, where he said that I will build buildings, engineering, mining, quarry and other operations in the land of Lakshadweep, in whichever land I please, and I will just take over the land for whoever it belongs to. Because I am going to develop Lakshadweep. So I will take, you can't say no to me when I ask you for land. I will come and I will take your land. And I will use it to build buildings, I will use it to build quarry, I will use it to build whatever engineering project which is industry, I will use it. Because I am going to develop this. People said, "Arey, mera ghar jayega yaar. How can I do it?" Now there are 2 points. Point number 1, let us look at it from Mr. Khoda Patel's perspective, or some people who think that what Mr. Khoda Patel said is right. Some people say that every country in the world has developed their island like Hawaii. Look at how America has developed Hawaii Islands. So if America can develop Hawaii Islands, why can't we develop Lakshadweep? Acha. The point is, development is never forced. Colonization is forced. British can come and tell Indians, to hell with you, to hell with your likings, to hell with what you think, to hell with what your preference is, I will throw you out and I will do what I want. Normally in a democracy, this does not happen. There is a consensus that you try to reach. Now, I will give you an example for people who may just comment saying that, listen, not necessary, the country can do it. I'll give you an example. You see, there was something called as Land Acquisition Amendment Bill 2015. Land Acquisition Amendment Bill 2015. Something similar was proposed there. 2 laws in specific: acquisition for industrial corridor and consent clause. Same thing, something similar. In fact, not as bad as this, but it was something similar, where they said that, listen, if 70% of the population agrees, then the balance 30% will have to give the land away. That was the consent clause. People revolted. People said nothing doing. This same Bharatiya Janata Party government withdrew, rolled back that clause, that act. Acha, why was that act rolled back? If that act was rolled back for India, then why is this act allowed in Lakshadweep? Lakshadweep is not a colonized land of India. It's a part of India. They are our citizens. So how can their laws be different to the law of India? If that was not right in India, how can this law be brought here? So development is fine, but development cannot be over somebody's body, is what the people there are saying. So the fact remains that the first thing that has caused a lot of problem is the fact that somewhere down the line, if these land are occupied, the locals may be forced to migrate outside of Lakshadweep. Maybe the population that is staying in Lakshadweep will be forced to migrate outside, and that is something that obviously the people will not be wanting. People do not want to leave their place. So why are we taking a step, having an act that may force people to migrate? Mind you, like I said, 96% of the people there are Muslims. This is the problem number 1. Now let us go to the problem number 2. Problem number 2 is, I told you, remember those figures that I told you? I wanted to remember those. See, I told you that the national average, the national population growth average is 17%. And the growth average of Lakshadweep is just 6%. It is lesser than the national growth average. Why am I saying this? I am saying this because they have put a ban on contesting panchayat polls if you have more than 2 kids. That is the law. The law is the draft Lakshadweep Panchayat Regulation 2021. The draft Lakshadweep Panchayat Regulation 2021 says that, you see, if this draft is put into action, then people who have got more than 2 kids cannot contest for elections. And if you are a panchayat member, you will be thrown out. Why would you want to do this? You would do this in a place where the population is rapidly growing. rapidly growing, then you can say, yeah, the population is rapidly growing. I have to do something to control the population. So at least the public representative should be an example. So therefore, I will say that people have only 2 kids will be made public representatives. I understand that. No problem. Perfect. Here, it is not even half of the national growth. It is not even half. 17% kidhar, 6% kidhar. Why are you putting this clause? Why are you putting this clause in this this draft proposal? What is the intention behind this draft proposal? Number 2. Number 3.
They also proposed the Lakshadweep Animal Preservation Regulation 2021.
Basically an act where you can't, it's not that you are banning animals or you're banning meat. What they are saying is you can't have a slaughterhouse. If you have to have a slaughterhouse, you have to take government permission. The government has to give you a license. Technically, what it means is what they are doing is they are trying to put a beef ban. Beef ban in a region where 96% of the people are Muslims. Now, pray tell me, why was this not put in Goa? It is their government. Why are they not putting it in eastern state? Their government, BJP government, no. Why couldn't they put that in Kerala? Though it is not a BJP government, because possibly Kerala government will not allow it. So it is not there in northeastern land, it is not there in Goa, but you are putting in a place where 96% of people are Muslims. Why? Why would you want to do it? Okay. You see, another information that I gave you in the starting of my editorial is that these people are peace-loving people. They're peace-loving people. They have there is no much of Gundaism or dacoity, or there has been no precedence of it either. It is not that there has been cases. There has been no cases. But then this particular administrator has introduced Gunda Act. You know what Gunda Act does? Gunda Act is his police can arrest you, keep you behind bar for 1 year without actually telling you any reason. He can just pick up anybody and arrest. It is a draconian act. It's a draconian act in a land which is a peaceful land. It is one of the most peaceful areas in India. It is a land where possibly the crime is the least. So why would you want to do that? Why would you want to pick up people and put them behind bars for 1 year? What is making you do that? A lot of people say that all of this is happening, this Gunda Act is happening because there were protests during the NRC time. People had protested. So possibly this is the result of that protest. So that is the point number 3. The point number 4, and which I found very strange and which I can understand as a Malayali, and possibly a lot of people would calculate it as from a point of view of kilometers, but as a Malayali I can understand. You see, the administrator has also decided that the islanders should no longer depend on Bepur. Bepur is in Kerala, okay, to freight transit. Instead, they should depend on Mangalore, Karnataka for this purpose. A lot of transit was happening between Lakshadweep and Bepur. Sometimes also Cochin, but mostly it is Lakshadweep and Bepur. The administrator said, "Nahi, Bepur se nahi karne ka, Karnataka se karne ka." This administrator, is he dividing India by differentiating between BJP governed state and non-BJP governed state? Since he is governing Lakshadweep, he wants Lakshadweep to have link to Karnataka, that is Mangalore, Karnataka, because Karnataka is a BJP governed state. And he doesn't want this Lakshadweep to have link with Bepur because Bepur is not a BJP governed state, and in the near future BJP has no hopes to rule over Kerala. Is it that the reason why the umbilical cord has been cut? Now let me tell you the logic of this. A lot of people may say that, you see, Bepur is 360 kilometers from Lakshadweep, and Mangalore is 390 kilometers from Lakshadweep. All that is fine. It is not just about the mileage. It's not just about the kilometer. A Malayali feels that the people who currently stay in Lakshadweep once were from Kerala. These 70,000 population, their forefathers, has migrated from Kerala to Lakshadweep. The language, though not same, is very similar. So there is a bond, cultural bond, to a certain extent, even an emotional bond between Kerala and Lakshadweep. An administrator just cannot come and clip the umbilical cord like this. And people say that, oh, it is only 390 kilometers here and 360 kilometers here. It is not about 390 kilometers and 360 kilometers, for crying out loud. It is not about that. It is about a certain amount of emotional attachment that these two states of India, or Union Territory and a state of India, has towards each other. When this administrator took over Lakshadweep had 0 cases of COVID. 0. The administrator came and he changed the standard operating procedures. He changed the standard operating procedures which was enforced on the island to prevent the spread of the pandemic. He changed it. Today what is the situation? Today it reports 6,000 cases. Mind you, a population of 65 to 70,000 people. 6,000 cases today. Now let me come to my conclusion. Development is a must. Development is a must, and nobody in this country will dispute that. Who in his right mind will say that my country should not develop? Everybody would want the country to develop. But development should not be at somebody's cost. Development should not be at somebody's cost. Development should not be seen as you are penalizing a community. Development should not be seen as there is some ulterior motives for the development processes that you are proposing. One more example that I want to say, which I forgot, but I want to say is, alcohol is prohibited. Like I said, it's a dominating Islamic population. It's Muslim population. So out of the 3 islands, I think 1 island allows alcohol, 2 islands don't. I love my drinks. So I'm never for banning of alcohol and all that. But what I do not understand is, if bulk of the population do not want alcohol, then why are we forcing alcohol? This Praful Patel was the minister in Gujarat. Why can't he take prohibition out of Gujarat? Why can't he say that let alcohol be served in Gujarat and then come and serve in Lakshadweep and say, Baba, this is the rule? Why different rule in Gujarat and why different rule in Lakshadweep? So the point that I'm trying to make is, when development and proposals and propositions are basically seen as targeting a particular community, then it is not development. Then it is dangerous. Till I see you next time. Namaskar.